And good morning. Welcome back to my morning musings. My name is Don K. Preston of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. So glad you could be with me. I hope you're having a great day. Starting it off, good cup of coffee here. Pardon me. I've been sharing with you some thoughts as to the identity of the little horn in Daniel chapter 7, how the 1260 days that are mentioned there, in which the saints would be given into his hand, and then he would be destroyed at the coming of the Lord. Well, one of the most common interpretations of that, it's the view that I was personally raised with, is that the little horn was the Roman Catholic Church. That interpretation of the little horn was carried over into the man of sin, son of perdition, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, which in turn was carried over into the identity of Babylon in the book of Revelation. The Harlot City. I well remember some revivals as a young man in which the minister put up these great big sheet charts. Some of you are not old enough to remember that. But anyway, and for 1 week, that preacher that sticks in my memory expounded on the Roman Catholic Church and the Pope as being the Antichrist, the little horn. And my goodness, how convincing, how wonderful it sounded. I was totally convinced. This was the position of my upbringing. It's what was taught to us in seminary. Unfortunately, as I actually began to read the Bible for myself, as I began to exegete Scripture for myself, I soon discovered that that is simply an untenable position. Now let me take this presentation, beginning with Revelation, to 2 Thessalonians, back to Daniel, okay? And let me do so by telling you about a great new book that is out by Stephen Temple, JaDon Management. Published this book because I really, really believe in what Stephen Temple has done. The title of the book is Who is the Mother of Harlots, Drunk with the Blood of the Saints? And what Stephen Temple does in this book is he sets out to focus on the term harlot. Now, again, I was raised believing very firmly that that had to be the Roman Catholic Church, and due to all of her sins down through the ages, and persecuting the saints in the Middle Ages, the Inquisition, and what have you. Well, think about this, and this is, if you please, this is a master stroke. You really, really, really will be amazed at this. What Stephen does is to go back into the Old Testament and demonstrate, first of all, the book of Revelation is based squarely upon, it cites, it quotes, it alludes to the Old Testament over 400 times, okay? So, very clearly, Old Testament thought permeates the book of Revelation. Secondly, what Stephen does is demonstrate that in the Old Testament, the term harlot doesn't mean what it has meant in pretty modern society for a long time. And this is the genius stroke, okay? Most modern people hear the term harlot or whore, and they think that's just simply a woman that is immoral. Pardon me. That is not the biblical picture. While there may be a few examples which are exceptions to the rule, what Stephen does in this book is to demonstrate that the word harlot, biblically defined, contextually defined, is that a harlot was a wife that had turned unfaithful. Do you catch the power of that? If a harlot, biblically speaking, was a wife, i.e., a woman in a covenant with her husband who has become unfaithful, this radically destroys all futurist views of Revelation. Why is that? Well, let's see. Modern views of Babylon in Revelation say that Babylon was literal Babylon in literal Iraq. Ask yourself the question, was literal Babylon ever in a marriage relationship with Yahweh? No. Others tell us that Babylon was Rome. Same question. Was God ever married to Rome and Rome became unfaithful to that relationship and God divorced her? No. Well, of course, then we have those, and I get these emails every once in a while, who tell us that Babylon is New York or New Jersey or at least America. Was God ever in a marriage covenant with America? Now, it's not the same as saying God has blessed America. Not the same at all. But the answer is unequivocally the same. There's only one nation that was ever married to Yahweh. The language of Isaiah and Jeremiah. Your Maker is your husband, Isaiah 54, Isaiah 51. So only one nation was ever married to Yahweh, and that was Old Covenant Israel. Only one covenant nation was ever said to become unfaithful. Well, the 10 northern tribes did, and then the 2 southern tribes, i.e. Jerusalem and Benjamin. Judah and Benjamin. And so, what Stephen Temple does is to show to us the true biblical definition of Babylon. And by that simple and profound, and I would suggest to you, irrefutable definition of the harlot as a wife who became unfaithful, Stephen Temple has done a marvelous job in identifying Babylon of Revelation as first century Old Covenant Jerusalem, therefore the man of sin of 2 Thessalonians, and therefore, guess what? The little horn of Daniel chapter 7. You can order this book off of both of my websites, www.eschatology.org or www.bibleprophecy.com. Go there and order yourself a copy of it today. You will really, really be glad you did. Hey, thanks for joining me. This is Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. Bon Cafe. We'll see you, Lord willing, on Monday. You be safe, okay?